You ever just be looking at something totally normal, something you've seen a million times, and then suddenly, boom, you see it in a whole new light? Well, that is exactly what this explainer is all about. We're diving into Edwin Muir's incredible poem, Horses, to see how a simple memory can turn the everyday into something absolutely extraordinary.
So that's the big question, right? How does this happen? The poem kicks off with this really simple, almost boring observation of farm horses. But then, almost immediately, that reality just gets shattered by a memory that turns them into something else. Something powerful and, honestly, a little scary.
And this is the central battle in the poem. On one hand, you've got these plain, dull words, lumbering and steady. That's what the adult poet sees in the here and now. But then his memory flips the switch, and suddenly they're terrible and strange. It's like two completely different worlds collide.
And here are the lines that set that whole thing up. You can practically feel the poet's own surprise, can't you? It's like this powerful, unsettling memory just floods in and completely hijacks his calm, everyday observation. So what on earth causes a shift that dramatic?
Well, Muir is a clever poet, and he actually gives us a signal, a technical one. Right after "on the bare field," there's a hyphen. It's a pause, a break in the line, we call a caesura. It's like he's hitting the pause button on reality. It literally cuts off the ordinary world and forces us, and him, to shift gears into this deeper, more reflective space.
And there it is. That's the trigger. It's not the horses themselves, not really. It's the memory of a childish hour. You know, that phrase alone kind of hints at how quick and fleeting childhood really is. The whole vision is born from this one moment in the past, a memory that's totally colored by a kid's sense of fear and wonder.
But hold on. This isn't just some sweet, simple childhood memory. There are these subtle but really powerful clues that point to something bigger, the Industrial Revolution. That blackening rain isn't just a storm. It feels like factory smoke, giving this country scene a dark, almost end-of-the-world vibe. And then comparing their hooves to pistons in an ancient mill? Genius. It fuses raw, modern mechanical power with something ancient and primal.
And once that memory takes hold, the vision just escalates. It spirals. First, the horses become warlike, with conquering hooves, almost like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Then they're suddenly divine, these seraphim of gold, like fiery angels from heaven. And then, in the very next breath, they're mute, ecstatic monsters. Think about that. They're beautiful, terrifying, holy, and monstrous all at the same time.
And yet, right in the middle of this terrifying vision, we get this moment of pure, breathtaking beauty. The poet uses the word rapture. That's a big word. It means a spiritual high, like he's having a truly divine experience just watching these animals work. The language itself gets beautiful. You can hear the rolling sounds of their powerful, steady march.
You know, it's not just the horses that get transformed. Their power is so immense it feels like it's spilling out, animating the whole world. In the kids' imagination, the dirt furrows they carve in the ground become struggling snakes. It's like the land itself is waking up because of them.
Okay, so we've had this moment of pure rapture, but don't get too comfortable. The poem takes another sharp turn. The word "but" at the start of the next section is our signal. We're heading for the climax of this vision, and it's a place where all that beauty gets mixed up with some serious, overwhelming fear.
And wow, does this line deliver. Let's just sit with that for a second. Their eyes aren't just dark, they're as wide as night. That makes them feel like these huge, unknowable forces of nature. And that cruel, apocalyptic light, that's the most intense image in the whole poem. It brings back that feeling of the world ending, like these aren't just horses anymore, they're agents of destiny, or maybe doom.
Okay, now this is absolutely brilliant. It's one of those details that'll give you goosebumps. Right at this peak moment of intensity, something happens to the poem itself. The perfect, steady rhyme scheme that's been going all along, it falters. The words wind and blind don't quite rhyme. They're a half rhyme. It's as if the vision is so powerful, so wild, it's literally breaking the rules of the poem. The form can't contain the force of the memory.
And then, just like that, it's gone. The vision collapses. The repetition, the exclamation points, it fades. It fades. You can hear the panic in his voice. He's gone from just calmly remembering something to desperately trying to cling to this glorious, terrifying, beautiful vision that's slipping through his fingers. So what exactly has he lost? He talks about pining for the dread country crystalline. Now, this isn't a place you can find on a map. It's a state of mind. It's that supercharged way of seeing the world he had as a kid, where everything felt incredibly bright, pure, and loaded with this amazing, fearful meaning.
And this is the real gut punch of the poem.
This is the painful conclusion he comes to. He realizes that by losing that childish hour, by losing that dread country crystalline, he himself has become just like the horses he was watching at the start, lumbering and steady. He's lost the magic. He can't see the bright and fearful presences anymore.
Which brings us to the big question, doesn't it? I mean, the poem is called Horses, but after all that, is it really about horses? Or is it something much deeper? Is it really about the power of our imagination, the massive gap between how a child sees the world and how an adult does, and that ache we feel for what's been lost along the way?
And look, Muir isn't the only one wrestling with these ideas. You see these themes pop up all over the place in poetry. This whole idea of watching an animal to learn something about yourself, that's the core of The Hunting Snake. The battle between wild imagination and rigid, boring order, that's the city planners in a nutshell. And the question of how much we really change over time, that's a big part of a poem like Summer Farm.
So, we'll leave you with this thought. Muir's poem is this incredible, powerful reminder that the extraordinary is almost always hiding just under the surface of the ordinary. And it leaves us with one last thing to think about. Where in your daily life, in your ordinary, does the extraordinary hide? What might reveal its own bright and fearful presence if you just looked at it a little differently?